Hey everybody, welcome to the real United States, and welcome to Manchester, New Hampshire. Now Manchester is one of the three largest cities probably in the state of New Hampshire. It's located just south of the capital, Concord, and just north of the other major city, which is Nashua, here pretty much in the center of the state, east to west at least. And we are here for a very specific reason. We are here in Manchester, New Hampshire, because this is the home of Lieutenant General John Stark. Now, it's a name probably most of you do not know or not familiar with. But General Stark was a hero of the Revolution. He was a huge hero of the Revolution, fought in many battles, not the least of which was the Battle of Bunker Hill. But Stark's claim to fame today is the motto of the state of New Hampshire, a fiercely independent people: live free or die. Now, I've read a couple of different ways that this phrase came to be, but the one that I read originally, and I tend to believe may be true, is that Stark was and intended to give the first commencement address, the graduation commencement at West Point, the very first year after the end of the Revolution. Well, at the very last moment, he wasn't able to attend. I'm not sure whether there's other obligations or whether it was illness, but he wasn't able to attend the graduation at West Point. And he wrote down a few words, gave them to his adjutant, and sent him off to West Point, New York, to give the commencement address. Ceremonies proceeded. His adjutant got up, opened the piece of paper, and the piece of paper said only, "Death is not the worst of evils. Live free or die." Well, it was such a moving statement that it became, the final part of it became the motto of the state of New Hampshire: live free or die. We will not subject ourselves to tyranny. We will not subject ourselves to imperial rule. We are a free people. And I think that the folks of New Hampshire have lived by that. They are a very fiercely independent people. Very nice folks up here. General Stark, say, was born here, lived here in New Hampshire, and he made such an impact on the American Revolution that they have dedicated this huge statue in his honor, this equestrian statue. This is General Stark you see behind me. And he is in the middle of a park here in Manchester called simply State Park, which is a little confusing to me because a lot of places are like such and such state park, which is a park that's owned by the state. But this is State Park here in Manchester. And he is the only statue here, and he's also buried here. He was born in Manchester. He grew up in New Hampshire. He lived in New Hampshire. He spent his entire life as part of the New Hampshire culture, not just the American culture. And so they had the people of this, he's like a huge hero in this city. And that's why they have this statue here, only statue, only gravesite in this huge park, which is probably, I'm going to say, on the order of about 10 or 15 acres. I could probably look that up when I get back to Maryland and I got access to a computer, but it is a beautiful state park with little curving paved roads through it. Huge old trees. I'm sure that some of them were growing here at the time that Stark was living in this town. I want to swing around for just a moment and show you another of the displays here by another flagpole that they have, American flag flying, of course, at this park. But you can zoom in a little bit, and they have 4 naval cannons of the era mounted here, and cannonballs as a display and a tribute to Stark's military service. Now, the way this park is designed, and I don't know whether this is the natural terrain or whether they built this up more, but this whole thing comes up to the center of the park is this big hill And you can see the monument itself is sitting on a huge granite pedestal, which then is up on a mound, and the whole thing is to elevate him on this pedestal of ideals. So just a beautiful, beautiful setting. Now, I could go on, I guess, with a lot of the history about Stark, but I won't. You can look that up. But he was someone whose name was not well known through much of the United States. We don't study about him in history in school. So, a hugely important military figure who probably gets overlooked a lot more than he should. I'm a huge General Stark fan myself. Now, I'm going to take you down, and we'll show you a little bit of footage around the park and of his final resting place. Now, Stark was a true native son of the state of New Hampshire. He was born here, he lived here, he served his military duty, well, at least partially here. He died here, and he is today interred here. And here at State Park is Stark's gravesite. And you see this beautiful headstone and this large iron fence with a large plot. It is the only gravesite here in State Park in Manchester. He has this all to himself. That's how important he is to the people here, the city of Manchester, the state of New Hampshire, and the United States. He has this entire place to himself as his final resting place. Beautiful setup. They've got, you can't see it, but it's right next to where Beverly's filming. There is a flagpole, so they can fly a flag here. There's a nice brick patio here for people to come observe, pay their respects to the general. Trees in the back. There's a river just beyond those trees. It is an idyllic setting. One cannot ask for a more perfect final resting place than here at the base of this hill in Manchester, New Hampshire. So here, almost literally in the middle of Manchester, and not a half mile from State Park, where General Stark is interred, is his boyhood home. And it is standing to this day in good repair. It actually belongs to the Molly Stark chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution. Molly Stark was John Stark's wife. The house was built here in 1736, so it's getting old. It was built by General Stark's father, Archibald Stark. Kind of a tiny little place to be raised in, but certainly in the mid-1700s, prior to the Revolutionary War, a nice dwelling. And that would have been typical of the era. They were simple, but they were nice. Again, notice the steep pitch to the gable end of the roof, indicative of, because we're in New Hampshire, they get a lot of snow. and that was to get the snow to slide off, something you're going to see a lot of here. And I can't think of a more Americana setting. The way they've got this set up with this beautiful white picket fence. The sidewalk, if you can see that here, is all done in brick. And that's not through the whole city, that's just here around Stark's home. So that's, again, how it would have been in the era, in the day, when the Starks lived here. The wind's died down a little bit so you can't see the flag flying, but there is a flagpole right in front of the house with an American flag on it. We love to fly our flag every place. But a very peaceful little setting. This is woods on the side. It's set off by itself, so it's nice, and again, it's protected. Now you can, I guess, go in and see the house. However, it's by appointment only. So if you were to come to Manchester and you wanted to go inside and see the house, you'd have to make arrangements with the Molly Stark chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution in order to be able to view the interior of the house. And I don't know quite what's entailed with that. We don't have the time or the opportunity right now to do it, but I did want to bring you here and show you Stark lived in this town his whole life. He was born here, not in this house, but he grew up here. He died in this town. He spent his entire life as part of Manchester, New Hampshire. Now I've been in towns probably over most of America. Beverly's certainly been in towns with me all over the eastern United States, large and small. And I can't think of a more beautiful town than Manchester, New Hampshire. We're here on the banks of the Merrimack River. It runs right through the center of the city. Gorgeous rapids here that run under the bridge. You can hear the background noise. It's just a very nice, peaceful kind of a sound, you know? It's not the roar of a waterfall, but it's a nice little babbling kind of water sound. It's just a gorgeous town. Enormous amount of 19th century, I'm going to say, architecture here. Huge, big old homes, you know, 6, 8, 10,000 square foot homes with the turrets on the corners and all these, some brick, some wood, some round, some square, some octagonal, just gorgeous architectural features here in Manchester. This is definitely worth a stop if you're ever in New England. So I hope you've enjoyed this short tour and you've enjoyed hearing a little bit about one of our heroes of the American Revolution on this, our Independence Day weekend. I'd like to thank everybody. If you have questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section below. I love hearing from all of you. I try to get back to everybody I can. If you haven't already, please pick subscribe. Come along for the adventure. We love having everybody with us. And as always, thank you for watching. So we're here in Manchester, New Hampshire, and we just finished filming the episode on General John Stark. And it's, you know, it's kind of disappointing sometimes. You get to someplace, you've done all your research, you get there, and one of the things that when I did my research, it said Lieutenant General Stark. And I get here to his gravesite and the statue, and it says Major General. So now I'm not sure which is right. Whether he was promoted at some point later and the statues, I don't know. But at any rate, I am aware of the difference. Don't send me hate mail. And I'm hoping that somewhere in this I'll be able to put some information either on the screen or down below to explain which appears to be the truth.